explain to me, when we're talking about the slaughtering of these men, the abducting of these women and children, did this happen before the rest of this group, these refugees, could even run away to this mountain? Did this happen back at their homes?
This ISIS commander that our producer Raja Razek spoke to on the phone, who was in Mosul, he wasn't giving up much information. But this is significant because Kimberly was talking about what we've heard from the other side of the fence. And there's been an awful lot of misinformation too, or potentially accurate information that's been hard to verify about what the fate of these Yazidi women and children have been. But to have ISIS actually admit at this senior kind of level that they are holding what they refer to as at least 100, they wouldn't give even an exact number on that of women and children, and that they're being held somewhere in Mosul. No precise location or locations is of course significant, because clearly for them this is something that they're willing to exploit or at least make publicity over. The key part of the conversation, though, in terms of the future of these women, relates to the senior commander saying that they've been called to join Islam. So, as we've seen in many occasions in the past too, when ISIS takes territory where there are people who don't share their strict Wahhabi beliefs, they say to them, you have a period of time in which to convert to how we believe the world should be, to our, some say, often warped version of Islam, or you will face some sort of further action. We don't know what will happen in the case of these women and children, but we are clearer now, and at least having ISIS admit they are holding some of them. Brooke.
Talking to correspondents where you are, one correspondent, when talking about ISIS and the brainwashing of teenagers to join this militant group, and he just described this torture room for me, that they're torturing these young people, the ones who will not initially, convert to their radical view of Islam. I know you say we don't know specifically what's happening to these women and to these children, but given the big picture brutality of this group, what do you think?
Well, look, I mean, when ISIS started out back in Raqqa, the key city in Syria, where they've made that their stronghold, when we first reported on them, they were lashing, severely beating activists who were opposing their presence there. And they very quickly developed into much more brutal forms, amputations for theft, people being flogged for smoking, and then suddenly it catapulted into a whole new level of brutality, with crucifixions being involved. Then, more in the last month, I've seen undescribably vicious videos of mass executions, dozens of people killed. One particularly brutal video of at least a dozen men being shot one after the other in the back of the head next to a river and dropped into the river. The floor below that execution area filling with blood. It's so gruesome to describe, but you have to hear these details to understand quite what this group is capable of. When it comes to women and children, yes, they do not treat them with the kind of dignity one would expect in any rational society. I don't want to speculate as to what could be happening to these women. If they are calling them to join Islam, it's possible there's a period here in which they will be fine until they choose to not take that particular course, and then of course suffer what infidels in the eyes of ISIS tend to suffer, and that's often some kind of brutal punishment indeed, but terrifying all the same for them at this moment. Brooke.